the PMI organization. So PMI, as everyone knows, the world leader in spreading the project management profession worldwide. PMI UAE chapter. This is run 100% by volunteers. So it's proud to be, one of the top 5% of the chapters globally in terms of members, and it's growing with day by day. So we're quite passionate about project management, professional development, networking, education. But as it's a voluntary organization, we're very much dependent on each one of you to contribute, be in terms of talks, presentations, corporate sponsorship, mentoring. The different ways you can contribute is all available on the PMI UAE website. Please feel free to visit and take a look, and do your bit as a volunteer. So there are quite a few of interesting benefits in 2020 with respect to collaborations with universities and organizations. Various ways you can earn PDUs, mentoring programs, the different voluntary roles that are available within the PMI UAE chapter. We're grateful to sponsors, Dubai Health Authority and Ministry of Presidential Affairs, and our agency, and our partners, IIL Middle East. So for upcoming events, and do follow us on the social media. This webinar will earn attendees one technical PDU if you attend at least 80% of the webinar, and the PDUs are automatically claimed within 10-15 days. If you would like to be a presenter in any of the upcoming webinars, please feel free to reach out to the PMI UAE team, and we'll be happy to assist you. Today's presentation is a very interesting one on measuring and accelerating enterprise business agility by Sally Elatta and Mohamed Alfaki. So Sally is a transformer. I think words go beyond what she's done and achieved as Agility Health founder and a CEO. She's a frequent industry keynote speaker and has led business agility transformations in several organizations worldwide. She's a mother, entrepreneur, she's an activist, she's the founder of Sudan Next Gen and whatnot. So thank you so much, Sally, for joining us today. We are quite privileged to have you in this webinar.
It's my honor.
We also have, thank you. We also have with us Mohamed Alfaki, who is a business agility and agile consultant with Agility Health. So he's a transformation consultant and a strategist, has conducted several business agility workshops and coached several executives and managers in leading transformations in their organizations. He's a certified agile transformation specialist and has coached several organizations and individuals, and has worked with several organizations. Thank you, Mohamed, as well, for joining us. It's a pleasure having you today.
Thank you so
much. Thank you. With this, I present to you, audience, Sally Elatta and Mohamed Alfaki. Sally, you may proceed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rashmi. Hello, everyone, and good evening, good afternoon. It's actually good morning here in the United States. I'm very excited to be here with you and share this topic that I'm very passionate about, which is really how do you accelerate your enterprise business agility journey. I'm going to share with you why we should talk about enterprise business agility and not just agile, because really when we just only focus on agile, a lot of executives and leaders think that we're only talking about a team level transformation. And so today with this webinar, I want to take you to what does bringing agility at the enterprise level really look like, and how can we use measurement and growth and continuous improvement as a way of accelerating that journey. So I'm excited to be here with you. I'm going to share my screen. Let me know once you guys can see. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can, Sally. Thank you.
Okay, great. So let me just go to the other deck here. All right, so we'll do some quick introductions about ourselves and then get right into it. Let me just go full screen mode. A little bit about my background. Rashmi was very kind to give my background. I started the company called Agile Transformation, incorporated about 11 years ago, because I really felt strongly that Agile and new ways of working would be the main way that organizations would transform. And since then, we've really evolved over the last 11 years. And so we now really have 3 products that we provide. One of them is Agility Health, which is our measurement and growth platform. Agile Videos is our on-demand e-learning platform where people can scale Agile learning. And then EBA is really our strategy and our enablement, where organizations can license courseware and train trainers and learn how to enable themselves. Our entire philosophy has been, how do we enable companies to lead and own their transformation internally, and have consultants from the outside enable them and help them, because you can never install a transformation. You're going to have to lead it yourself. So very excited about this and excited to see it come to the Gulf as well. Mohamed, why don't you go ahead? Mohamed Alfaki.
Hello, good evening. I'm so happy and excited to speak from here, from Qatar, to people in UAE. Actually, I'm Mohamed Alfaki, business agility and agile consultant. I'm the regional consultant for Agility Health here in Gulf region and North Africa. I work with executives and help them to align their strategy to execution. I'm certified Agility Health facilitator, certified Safe Agilist, certified Scrum Master. I have been training since maybe 6 years. Right now, I train more than 600 people from various public and private organizations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohamed. So the first thing that I want to do is just ask all of you that are here to answer this question for me. When I say business agility, I didn't say agile, I'm just saying business agility. What does that mean to you? If you could, in the chat box, just start answering. When I say that this company has really achieved business agility, what does that mean to you? Let's get some thoughts here from the audience. And you can use the little chat box to provide your thoughts. Maybe like think about what other words are similar to business agility, or even the word agility. What does it mean to you that an organization has achieved agility? I'll give you guys 1 minute. Rashmi, are people able to answer on the chat? Do they have that activated?
Yes, they do have it, so they should be able to chat.
Okay. Right, we must have a shy group here. So I will share with you the meaning of business agility. So typically what people say when they hear the word agility, yes, how a company, thank you, Jerome. We got Jerome an answer over here, which is how a company or an organization copes with changes. Absolutely. So your ability to respond to change, Jerome, means or is a measure of your agility. That's really good. So the definition of business agility is the ability to adapt to change, learn and pivot, deliver at speed, and thrive in a competitive market. And Hisham, yes, it's also about adaptation, so that's perfect. So think about that. Think about what just happened to us during COVID. Every company, yes, Julie, thank you. Business agility means the ability to move quickly. Every company around you, whether they wanted to be agile or didn't want to be agile, whether they were thinking about it or didn't think about it, did they have to adapt to change? Yes, they did. Did they have to learn very quickly and pivot and change their strategy? 100%. Did they have to learn how to deliver at speed now, deliver very quickly? 100%. I've heard of so many companies and I've talked to executives that They have completed in like 2 weeks what they normally had to complete like in 6 months or a year because of COVID. So what I like about this is that, unfortunately, the recent COVID and the current COVID pandemic has really given all of our companies a boot camp in business agility. So everybody's learning why it is so important to be able to change, to respond, to deliver, to get feedback. And that is what organizations are trying to transform to. Because gone are the days where big companies can eat the small. Today, fast companies eat the slow. And your ability to learn and deliver faster than your competition is honestly your only sustainable competitive advantage. So that's really the definition of business agility. And this definition was developed by myself and Evan Laybourne. Evan Laybourne is the founder of the Business Agility and has really started a great community around business agility. So why should we adopt concepts around enterprise and business agility? Well, increase operational efficiency. You're going to cut a lot of cost when you know how to deliver faster, when you know how to respond to change, and we know how to pivot in the market. You're not going to spend a year or two developing products that maybe are not what the customers need right now. Improved customer relationships and delight, greater transparency and higher morale, faster turnaround. I do want to offer you this report, and you'll be able to download these slide decks at the end. I'll show you how. But there is a 2020 Business Agility, State of Business Agility report, and we are partners with the Business Agility Institute. And so this is a really professional executive level report on why should companies start investing in this concept of business agility and enterprise business agility. So please do download that and share it with some of your executives, because the transformation is required, and it's required at every level of the organization. So now I'm going to engage you in one more conversation here, which is, before I share with you what is business agility and the journey and the challenges and the measurements, I want you to think about, for your own companies that you're part of right now, what are those top challenges that you are facing internally with executing on your strategic priorities? When your executives say, here's the strategy, here's how we're going to win in the market, this is what we need to do, what are all of the internal things that start to delay you and start to impede you and just don't help teams deliver value? I'm going to give you guys another minute to think about top challenges or impediments or obstacles getting in the way for an organization delivering on their strategic. Stakeholder resistance from Hisham. Thank you, Hisham. That's a good one. So stakeholders themselves are resistant to the changes that are happening. What else? What else slows you down from execution? Resources. So Jerome is saying we don't have all the right people and we don't have the right talent. So not having the right people and not having the right talent, and a lot of the resources that you might have, Jerome, might be multitasking. Ineffective training and weak strategies from Julie. That's wonderful. So again, it's talent related. People don't actually have the skill and they don't know what they're getting done. So that's why they're slowing down. What else? Let's hear just one more. Project priority compared to other priorities. So conflicting priorities. And Julie also says lack of communication. So thank you, Julie and Hisham, for those inputs. So lack of communication, prioritization, all of those really impede us. So I'm going to share with you here some of the items that we hear a lot from, which is competing business priorities, focusing on delivering output but not outcomes. So we're all very project focused. So let's just get these projects done. But nobody really pauses, or even the team does not understand the value and the outcomes. What's the business outcomes we're trying to solve for? Enterprise planning and portfolio planning is very painful. Demand and capacity are not aligned. Teams have never-ending backlogs. So teams are always working on the next thing, but they never have a time to pause, which is what creates unsustainable pace and burnout. Ineffective team design, and so the teams themselves are not designed to be cross-functional. They're very functional, so there's a lot of silos and handoffs. High level of waste, because we're delivering features, functionalities, or deliverables that maybe we did not get customer feedback, we did not engage with them. No portfolio leadership teams, a very big divide I've seen between technology and business teams or different silos. The leaders internally are still using command and control, and you're not really hearing the voice of the customers in what you're doing. Not measuring what matters, so not having metrics that guide our decision making, and teams themselves are not empowered or not skilled to solve problems. So I'm going to play a quick video here for you that just gives you what's happening here in the United States. A lot of large companies that have been transforming to Agile are now experiencing what you're going to see in this video. So let me play it.
Hi, I'm Sally Elatta, founder of Agility Health. And here at Agility Health, we are very passionate about accelerating our customers' enterprise business agility journey by helping them measure what matters. As we've worked with many customers, we're starting to see some common challenges and common patterns and solutions. So what I wanted to do is just draw this picture for you. Let's call this demand and capacity. Let's look at it from this perspective. On the demand side, the first challenge you're going to hear from customers and enterprises is enterprise planning is painful. There is too much focus on work and output, so you'll see lots of initiatives, deliverables, epic stories, but not a lot of focus on outcomes. You'll also see that there's many competing business priorities that are coming in through silos, and everybody feels like their priority is number one. Another challenge is there's no discovery or validation of the ideas, and there's a lot of idea generators, multiple people with lots of great ideas. The problem that this causes is many of these ideas are actually duplicate. So you could have Joe and Adam and Jamie over here all asking for the same thing, but in different ways. As you go down through this funnel, you're going to realize that teams are not designed to optimize the flow of value. Teams today are all organized based on who reports to who. And so in order for you to get anything done, there's a lot of bottlenecks, there's a lot of shared service teams that are really over capacity, and there's a lot of handoffs and dependencies between them. As you come closer to the actual teams that get the work done, what you're going to see is they're overwhelmed. Teams are burning out. They will tell you they are buried in never-ending backlogs. The good news is by using Agile, we've started to organize our work a little bit better. So we have backlogs and we have cadences and we plan well, but it's still never ending. Teams have no time to be creative or to solve problems the right way. Like, remember those 3 different features that we're all asking for the same thing? Nobody has time to focus on that. So this is a summary of some of the problems that we're seeing. And one of my quotes here that customers like is, if you want flow, stop the flooding. So let's take a look at this picture in a different way. How could we redraw this? Again, let's look at demand, discovery, and then let's flow outcomes. So this funnel looks a little bit different in that at the beginning, I want to create portfolio teams. This is a missing gap that we have today. We built teams and we built teams of teams, but we have not yet structured portfolio management teams that could really organize the work at the very top of the funnel. Portfolio teams really should be planning based on outcomes. What are my 3-year outcomes? What are my 1-year outcomes? And what are my quarterly outcomes? Those 1-year outcomes will map to your initiatives and your epics, and those quarterly outcomes will map to your deliverables or your features. Make sure that these outcomes, as they come into this funnel, are going through discovery. The purpose of discovery is to validate your ideas before you invest a lot in actually delivering them. Are these ideas valuable? Are they feasible? Are they usable? Another way to think about the value of discovery is, can we test something? We call it test it, nail it before we scale it. Test it, nail it, scale it. Some cool techniques for doing discovery would be following the Mobius loop by doing discovery and then delivery, or even leveraging things like the 5-day sprint or just building some fun mock-ups and showing them to customers quickly and getting very rapid feedback so that you can begin to experiment before you actually build. Now let's come into the teams. How do I want to organize and design my teams? I want to organize my teams so they can flow outcomes. So whether they're business teams or technology teams, whether they're product or engineering teams, and regardless of their reporting structure, we want to organize teams together in a virtual way so they can enable the flow of outcomes. To support this system that is designed to flow outcomes at the very top, we need leadership agility. We need to shift from the very directive style that we have today into more of enabling autonomy and delegating decisions down. We need to also invest in developing talent, because through this journey, you're going to see there's a lot of new roles that are going to be created, and a lot of roles that are today will need to shift, including the role of leaders. So developing talent and investing in growing our skills is another critical enabler. And when you enable the flow of outcomes across your enterprise, you will arrive at true business agility. You are disrupting before you are disrupted. You become a learning organization, and you can thrive in a competitive market. Thank you for watching.
All right, so did that resonate with you? Any feedback on what parts of that resonated? Hisham likes it. Okay, great, Hisham. That's wonderful. Any other comments? Any part of that video that resonated with you? All right. A lot of what I tried to do in that video is summarize for you a lot of complexity in terms of how organizations are trying to transform right now, but also providing some of the solutions so that leaders can understand there is a way, but that way really requires almost a journey, a transformation journey. So let's talk about what does this journey look like, the journey towards enterprise business agility. Organizations usually start by focusing on team agility. And team agility is about adopting Agile, bringing in Scrum, Kanban, creating cross-functional teams, bringing in Agile tools, making sure that people can work virtually or in a collaborative manner. Basic team agility. And so that's a very important step. And so what we do to help here is we make sure that you can measure the health of your teams. So where are my teams now? Whether they're Agile or Waterfall, what is the current team health? And then you also want to enable those teams to help themselves grow. And you also want to build talent, specific roles, Scrum Masters, product owners, engineers. Those are all roles that you're really going to have to build at the team level. The next focus area becomes team of team agility. And team of team agility is where organizations start to think about how are we going to scale? We are doing Agile, but we're doing it in pockets. But how are we going to do Agile across 5, 10 teams, 20 teams, 100 teams? And that is where they pick their favorite scaling method, whether it's disciplined Agile from Scott Ambler and PMI, or it's scaled Agile Safe, or any of the other methods like Enterprise Scrum. Those are all methods that teach you how do you get several teams, a lot of teams to align and plan together and manage dependencies and make sure that they can deliver value in a cohesive way. DevOps becomes an important maturity model here for companies that have a technology team. So DevOps is very specific to technology, but how do I make sure that I have 5 or 10 teams that are all delivering in a very integrated way and doing automated testing? Because I don't want to wait until my features and my code is in production before I find that there's a problem. Leadership and culture is extremely important because of the role of managers. Believe it or not, managers and what they do is completely disrupted in the world of Agile. So a lot of what they did before, which is micromanage, move people around, give tasks, have weekly meetings, move people, shift them between priorities. I would say respond to a lot more day-to-day challenges. That's different in an agile world. The manager really becomes more focused on talent development and upskilling, keeping teams cross-functional and stable, moving from project teams to product stable teams, and then removing obstacles, right? So when we talk about measurement, we're going to show that when you measure and you assess teams using these measure and grow workshops, those teams are going to identify obstacles and issues, and those managers are now going to be responsible for removing these obstacles that are in their way. Organizational agility is focused on, one, adopting product management, not just project management. Project management is really about starting and stopping a project, right? And I understand that definitely has a place, but a lot of companies now are also saying, how can we adopt product management, which is design teams to be stable, give them a product roadmap, and continue to update and change requirements related to the service or to this product. And when I say product, it could be a technology product, it could be a physical, it could be hardware, software, but really creating teams that are stable, that don't just start and stop, and beginning to use a lot more lean startup and product discovery, as I showed you in that video. How can we design and how can we discover before we deliver? Lean portfolio management. And so PMOs are going to be dramatically shifting in the next several years. If it hasn't happened in the Gulf area yet, it will certainly be happening soon. But the traditional structure of PMOs, the way that PMOs operated in the past, which has really been a lot more about kind of oversight and management and just gathering metrics and all of that, is going to shift a little bit, because lean portfolio management now really changes the funding model. Our funding models are going to shift to be more outcome oriented and more based on stable capacity and teams and less about projects. We'll also start not planning just yearly. We will be doing evolving plans quarterly and aligning teams to outcomes and not just being project oriented. So there's a very big shift in the LPM world. And I think it's very exciting, actually. And PMOs and portfolio management offices, once they agree to transform and join this journey, I think can have a really big impact on the transformation. Value stream structure and design is around organizing our teams in a very cross-functional way and aligning them around outcomes regardless of the reporting structure. So I don't care who you report to. If I need a business team and a technology team and an R&D team to work together to deliver on an outcome, then I want to put them into the common value stream and make sure that they're planning and executing and that there are no dependencies between them. Digital transformation. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't talked about it in your company, then you're probably living under a rock, so come out of there. Digital transformation is really now about all of the impact that's happening to every company in terms of going digital, thinking about reaching their customers with new channels, with new technology, bringing in AI and machine learning and IoT. I mean, there's just such a huge movement right now to adopting modern technologies across every industry. Operational agility is really around customer seat at the table, HR itself changing and bringing in HR agility and talent. Finance, legal, audit, sales, and marketing all become part of the journey, because our ultimate goal is really to anticipate our customers' needs, disrupt before being disrupted, and become a learning organization. But it's going to take this investment in this journey. And I'm showing you this journey because executives really resonate with this when we walk them through it. And they say, this is exactly what I'm going through, except it's being managed in so many different places. HR is trying to do this, and the Agile people are trying to do that, and the portfolio management folks, and then I've got my DevOps movement, and I've got my operational excellence. At the end of the day, you as a business are trying to achieve business agility, and all of these different transformations are all wheels. Think of them as all wheels that impact each other. So that's kind of the journey that we want to talk to you about here. And I'll take you through a little bit more around, where do I need to invest? If I want to accelerate this journey, then here are 7 areas that you're going to need to invest so that you can mature. The first area is called the first pillar is called customer seat at the table. This is what we call the EBA model, the Enterprise Business Agility. This is not a framework. It's not a detailed guide. This is a strategy model. It basically allows executives and leaders to assess, where are we today? How much capability have we built around my enterprise journey? And where is it that I need to invest more? Where am I today? And we always talk about crawl, walk, run, fly. So in any of these areas, any of these pillars that I'm sharing with you, you might find that your company is in crawl, they just got started. They might be in pre-crawl, which is they haven't really done anything yet. But most companies that I talk to have either started the journey or they're in walk. But many of them are trying to get to run and to fly. So customer seat at the table is all about lean product management, understanding your customer, discovery and validation, customer focus and engagement. And so I don't want to just see one area of your business that does this. We're talking about how can this become part of the DNA of all of your teams. So all of the teams need to understand the customer, discover and validate. I'm not just talking about having a CX group, a customer experience group that does this. Lean portfolio management is a lot of what we just talked about, being outcome oriented, so creating outcomes and aligning teams to outcomes, managing and planning demand and capacity on a quarterly basis, changing your funding model to be more outcome oriented and to be more about stable teams and less about project funding. Organizational structure and design is, as I mentioned, looking at teams, cross-functional teams that work together around a value stream, beginning to change all of the roles so that they can enable agility. A lot of roles are impacted through this journey, specifically the roles of product managers, the role of managers, the role of executives and leaders, the whole, RTEs or scrum masters and product owners. There's a lot of different data, and having more data scientists because of the digital transformation and data engineers. So having a plan for talent development and upskilling the roles, as Julie mentioned earlier, that skill gaps is definitely a problem. And you can't do it slowly. You now have to accelerate it. You got to do it faster than the traditional ways. Enablement teams are internal teams that help other teams. So you can definitely hire consulting companies, and you should, to be your initial partners. But my philosophy is you have to have enablement teams internally. No transformation will stick if you are constantly thinking that outside consultants are going to transform you. Outside consultants can enable you, but you have to build internal Agile coaches, DevOps coaches, leadership and cultural, discovery and customer. Each one of those pillars needs to have change agents that can enable your internal company to change. And that is what we call enablement teams. The Agile framework and mindset is where you begin to adopt Agile for technology teams, usually Scrum and Kanban, bringing in a scaling method. And again, when I say scaled Agile planning, I'm talking about planning at scale, whether it's adopting DAD or LESS or SAFE or any of these methods. You do need a way to plan at scale. And then bringing Agile and Kanban and some of these practices to business teams, HR, we have marketing teams, our sales teams, our own company, all of us use Agile as a way of working. Leadership agility is critical because in order for you to succeed on this journey, executives can't say, oh, I love this, you go do it, but I'm not part of this. No, you are part of this. And managers can't say, okay, I'm still going to use my old traditional command and control and directive style. No, you're going to have to change. So leadership agility has to be starting from the top. And HR really needs to think about what, not just HR, but even executives, what is the new leadership model? What are the new leadership behaviors that you expect to help you on this journey? And you're going to really hold all leaders accountable for those new leadership behaviors. Transition the role of manager and create a culture of agility. The culture of agility we describe as one that allows for innovation, experimentation, testing things out, and it's okay if they don't work out. Also psychological safety, the ability to give feedback and not be afraid of being punished. Making it stick is a pillar that we actually added about 4 years ago because we noticed that when we consulting companies walk out of an organization, the organization goes back again. They go backwards. And so we really talked to executives and asked them, what can make this stick for you? And that's when they said you have to build internal change agents. You can't just rely on outside consultants only doing all of it for you. You have to build internal muscles around these 7 pillars. You have to continuously measure and grow, measure and grow, measure and grow. And when I talk about measurement, I am not talking about surveys and just sending, people are tired of surveys. I'm talking about actually facilitated measure and grow workshops where people come together, they assess where they are, and then they build an action plan for improvement. And then obviously developing talent. The last pillar, which is pillar number 7, is technology and digital transformation. And I put it at the bottom because this is the foundation of your transformation. If you don't have the right technology foundation, then you're going to really struggle to compete in the market. So this is a big model. There's 7 different pillars. It's going to take you several years. So how do you go about it? And by the way, I do have at the bottom here, how do you measure agility? How do you know if you're succeeding? 3 metrics: flow, value, quality. Flow is speed to market. Am I delivering faster? Value is, am I achieving outcomes? When I said that I want to conquer this market or generate more revenue or put more innovative products out there or get higher customer feedback and satisfaction, did you achieve these outcomes? And value, by the way, also has happiness. Happiness is the happiness of your customers, but also the happiness of your employees. Are they engaged? Are they feeling completely engaged? And then quality is around quality. Are we delivering with excellence? Just because we're going faster, we don't want to have problems, which is why automation and test-driven development and all of that's very important, because we don't want to have quality problems just because we're going faster. So when executives see this, and I do this all the time, I do CEO level workshops. I just did one recently. They basically say, this is everything I'm trying to work on over the next several years. Where do I start? How do I do this? So what I recommend, and I'm going to come back to these principles here, what I recommend is start by measuring where you are today. You start by doing a baseline assessment of your enterprise business agility. Where are you? You know, it looks like here they've invested a lot in, you know, quarterly planning, but funding and governance is still behind. So where are you? Are you crawl, walk, run, or fly? And then based on that data, develop a plan. Develop a plan for 1 year, 12 months, and then break that plan into quarterly. I'll give you a concrete example. Almost all companies that I work with right now will always tell you that they have to focus on outcome-based planning. So they make this a priority for the year, which is aligning teams around outcome and maturing their portfolio management practices. And that's the area they want to invest in from the top down. The other area that's very popular is organizational structure. Companies that are still organized in a very traditional way, very siloed, very handoff, they know that's just killing them. So they say, we got to reorg. We have to reorganize teams and we have to reorganize leaders so we can actually deliver outcomes. So they sometimes pick those 2 together because one's demand, one's capacity. And then they'll say, we'll pick one more, which is agile. We got to get our teams to deliver because the teams are the engine of agility. If I don't teach my teams, if I don't upskill them, if they don't know how to deliver in small increments, then we're going to be host. So we say, okay, great, no problem. Let's start with those 3. And those become the key transformation objectives for this year. We sprinkle in always a little bit leadership and culture because leadership and culture is necessary. And then we build a roadmap, a quarterly roadmap for what we are going to do as a transformation team to enable some of the changes that happen there. What are the guiding, what are we trying to do? The guiding principles behind enterprise business agility, you know, is you have to kind of agree to those. If you agree to them, then yes, those things make sense. We need to discover before we deliver. And Mohamed, I would love for you to jump in here and you know, talk about some of these. You know, discover before we deliver and design virtual organizations. What do those mean to you, Mohamed?
Yeah, discover before we deliver is actually it links to the customer seat at the table pillar that we have in the EPA actually. So what we see regularly in the enterprise organization that they just have more ideas about new features, new products that should be developed, and they just deliver this feature or these products very quickly to the market, and then they realize that this product is not have not interested by the customer. So they have to discover firstly and then to deliver. This is the first one.
Wonderful. And I wish we had time to go through all of them in detail. Is there another one here that is important and relevant?
Sorry, Sally?
I'm hearing a lot of background noise. Do you hear that noise? There's like an echo. What I was going to say, is there any other one here, another one of those guiding principles for business agility that you think is very important right now for the Gulf? Because you've lived there, you understand where organizations are. Is there another one over here that we can emphasize?
Yes, actually, maybe I would say design virtual organizations that deliver outcomes, because organizations now are structured based on the hierarchy, that who reports to who, and there are so many silos between the departments, and this actually as obstacles for the flow of the value across the organizations. So when we talk about virtual organization or design organization, we are not talking actually about restructuring the organization. We're actually talking about virtual organizations. Also, I can say align strategic to demand is a strategic demand to capacity. We have in the organizations, we can see there are a lot of workforce here in the Gulf region. But at the same time, maybe there are so many demands for the organization that needs to be implemented or need to be delivered. So we have actually to focus on aligning the strategic demand of the organization to deliver something with its current capacity. Investment in digital and technology agility, it's very important because as we know, maybe agility is not popular as in the US or Europe right now. So we have to invest in the digital transformation, in the technology agility, in the agile practices, in the DevOps, and so on.
That's good. That's good, Mohamed. That's very good. And I wanted people to realize all this because in some of the other webinars that we're going to have, we're going to go deeper. We're just going to go down to team agility, and then we'll go to organizational agility, and then we'll go into talent development. But in this webinar, I really wanted you to go up a level. I really want all of you, even if you're not normally working at this level, to understand what does it take to transform an organization, right? Not just to transform a team. That's the conversation we're having here. So the way that you begin this journey is one, education and awareness. What you're doing right now with me here, us going through this webinar, is part of education awareness. So we typically, if a company wants to transform, we do webinars, we do short, half-day sessions. Just get people excited about what does the future look like. And then normally you do measurement and then strategy. And measurement is to get a baseline. Where are we in our current business agility transformation? Where are we in our maturity? And that's usually sort of like a half day where you get the senior leaders or the transformation leaders together and you say, let's do this assessment on enterprise business agility. Let's identify where we want to improve for this year, and let's come up with a quarterly plan and then develop a strategy. I am a very big proponent of always measuring top down and bottom up. So EBA can be measured at the enterprise level or at the portfolio level for each line of business, but you also want to hear the voice of the team. So you want to measure and assess team agility. How are the teams doing? Are they slow? Are they fast? Where are they stuck? And then the transformation itself gets broken into 12-week iterations, right? So for you guys know, Agile is all about 2-week sprints, and then we try to deliver a release every quarter or every 10 weeks. We want to deliver something. A transformation, think about a year is your release, and think about a quarter is your sprint. Every quarter we have to deliver something, and think about every 2 weeks as like your stand-up meeting, right? Every 2 weeks we're going to check in to see, did we move forward? Did we not move forward? Where are we stuck? On a monthly basis, we're going to check in, but every quarter we want to deliver value. Enable and scale is very important because, as I mentioned to you, if you don't build internal change agents, this is not going to be sustainable for you. It's going to be very expensive. You'll keep hiring really expensive consultants from the outside. They'll give you really great initial education, but if you don't build your internal capacity, if you don't train the trainer, courseware, certify people, build your own internal resources, it's not going to be sustainable. So those are the 4 steps that I recommend for you. And now, Mohamed, if you can take it from here, how do we accelerate the journey? How do we go faster?
Yeah, the journey actually, it starts usually by the learning. Okay, we are here we need to. People always or usually they do not know about Agile, about business agility, about DevOps, about these new concepts. So the first step is to learn, is to scale learning and talent development with our philosophy here. Besides and plus the visual training, plus the in-person training, we have on-demand learning, which it's available when you are demanding that, or when you have demand for this. And here we can mention Agile videos, which is a very huge libraries with hundreds of Agile videos and business agility videos and DevOps and many other videos related to this area. I think Sally will go through this at the end of the seminar. And then the next step will be to measure your current state. Where are you now in each level, in the team level, a team of teams level, enterprise level? What are the maturity level of you? What is the health measurements for you? And then you have to grow, which is the third steps here. The grow is by building based on the data that you come up with the measurements. You have to set up your growth plan, and we have a growth portal that with many growth plan options available, and you can also tailor your own growth plan. When you learn, measure, and growth, you definitely will accelerate your maturity towards digital, towards agile, towards business agility. So these are the 3 steps: learn, measure, and grow. Sally, can you? Yes. For measure and grow, we have many radars here for each level. For example, as Sally walked through, we have the enterprise business agility, which is in the left one. And we have the team of teams agility. We have team of teams and product radars that assess the lean and product management practices, the DevOps health assessment practices for your team, scaling agile for people who are familiar with SAFe framework, for example. And on the team level, we have the team health assessment, which we are going to go in deep details in the next webinar. Here we assess many things. We assess the team health in respect to the technical agility, clarity, performance, and many other things. For the individual and role and talent development, we have many specific rule radar for Scrum Master, for the product owner, rule also for the Agile leaders, and so on. What we recommend here is, can I go through each these radars and take them all? Actually, no. What we see, you have to pick one from the top level, which could be the enterprise business agility one, or the digital transformation, for example, and one from the bottom up level, which could be the team level or the role talent development level. So these are the set of radars that are available that will help you to measure, and then you build your growth plan. Sally? Sally, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can hear you. Sorry, did it go to the next slide for you?
Yes, you can go to the next slide.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so the 3 metrics that matter. So what Mohamed just shared with you is a lot about maturity, which really measures practices and behaviors. I'm going to just turn my video back on here because I was off while you were talking. So maturity is about practices and behaviors. You're not going to mature, you're not going to accelerate your transformation if you don't change the way that you work every day, if you don't change your practices. Performance is what we are measuring today, which is throughput, quality, time to value. How much stuff did I get done? How long did it take? What was my SLA? That's all called performance, and that's good. We still want that. And then there's outcomes and OKRs. Outcomes and OKRs are really, it's the third metric, but in my opinion, it's the only metric that matters. It's, are you actually achieving business results, or are you achieving your transformation results? In my opinion, the business outcomes and the transformation outcomes are the final impact metrics. performance is a leading indicator and maturity is a leading indicator. So if I don't feel like my organization's or a specific area is achieving the right outcomes, then I can go back and look and say, how are they doing from a maturity and performance perspective? Measurement challenges. So Mohamed, I think you had some really good important notes here for what to do and what not to do.
Yes. Actually, we see so many challenges in the measurements. People deal with these radars or these measurements tools we have used as a punishment. Maybe they can take it as a punishment. It's not for that. It's actually it's just for the growth and to enable growth and to to improve your performance on each level, from the team level to the enterprise level. So measurements should only be to enable growth and not for the judgments or reward or punishment. The top measurement challenges that we have, do you have actually a clarity and alignment across all these levels? What is the maturity roadmap? How can we have a common definition for each one of these? Also for the measurements, as the second one top challenges that we face or you might face, what do you measure and what at which level do you or you can you have to measure specific things? How do you know you are improving based on the data that come out when you run that radars and metrics? What metrics really matter for you? And as Sally said before, it's all about the outcomes, that the business outcomes. As she said, the performance it's really important, but it's leading indicators. And after all that, you have to come with intentional growth plan for your team, for your enterprise, based on that. Because if you just measurement with no action, with no actionable plan, it's worthless data. And how do you allow time for teams to inspect, adapt, and grow? How can leaders remove obstacles for teams? And this is the ultimate goal from the ultimate objectives from the measurements.
Thank you, Mohamed. So I'm going to just finish up here, and I hope you guys are at least energized. But my final quote here that people like is, if you want teams to align and achieve outcomes, you have to hear their voice and remove their obstacles. So it's a two-way street. All executives and all leaders and the PMOs, they're like, why are teams not aligning to my outcomes? I want them to achieve outcomes. Okay, great, no problem. We can do that. We can make sure that teams are aligned to outcomes, to quarterly outcomes, to yearly outcomes, but you have to allow them to assess and identify obstacles. And then you need to make sure that your managers and your leaders and your consultants and all of them are removing these obstacles directly coming from the voice of the teams. It's a two-way street. I'm going to give you a very quick story here because I like telling stories, and then we're just going to open it up for Q&A. This is a large financial institution here in the United States, and they have about 90 teams, and they were scaling Agile for the last 3.5 years. They've already been adopting Agile methods, and they were learning how do we scale. But what they were doing is they were doing something called an inspect and adapt. And in that inspect and the adapt, which they do once a quarter or once every PI, they were using PowerPoint, Excels, and surveys. So it was just really about data collection. What they felt is that they did not have any visibility into common patterns across the team. They did not see where there was the same problem happening everywhere. And the voice of the team was not very clear. And their leaders basically said, look, you're not able to hire more people. We can't hire more teams. We really need you to optimize the productivity of the teams that you have today. You're going to have to do more with what you have. So what they ended up doing is they used the team health radar, and they did it across the 90 teams. And this was kind of the roll-up view. And I want you to look at this data because I want you to start I want you to start thinking about, how do I use data to make decisions? And in this case over here, some of the things that they've identified is that they had a problem with the product owner role. So they have a couple of teams where the product owners are strong, but most of the other product owners were not managing the backlog or providing leadership or engaging enough. And so they wanted to lean in over here. The other thing that came out from a lot of the comments and from the data is that there were issues around roadmap clarity. A lot of the team said, we know what we're doing now, but we don't know what's coming up next, and you keep changing your mind. So there's a lot of churn in the priorities. From a measurement perspective, the team said they're not predictable, and they don't understand the value of what they're working on. And there was also some issues around the stability of the teams. And so using this data, they also looked at the comments, the words, what did the people say? And it all started to lead towards very common patterns. And I remember one of the senior leaders saying, I've heard some of this stuff before, but it was never data oriented like this, and I never saw it at scale. We have to take action now. Now that the data is telling me this, my senior leaders are going to want us to take action, because it's no longer John or Adam or Mary is telling me there's a problem. This is now real data. And so what they did is they identified areas for improvement. They identified 900 growth items. 300 of them were at the management level. The other 900 were down at the team level. And those were all grouped. So they kind of grouped them into impediments, allocation and stability, roadmaps, leadership, innovation. They really grouped them together in the right categories. And I took a screenshot of their insights dashboard in Agility Health. And I was really proud of them, because at the team level, these are the team improvement items that were completed, and there was 917 over a 6-month period, which was really amazing. And organizational level, they completed 391 improvement items. And at the enterprise level, which is more for senior executives to remove obstacles, they finished 39. The point that I'm trying to make here is they would not have achieved growth if they did not commit to measurement and then taking action. And this organization across the 95 teams improved by 15% overall agility. 10% of that was their maturity, which is qualitative data, and 21% was performance, which is quantitative data. The other things that they said really helped them was they were more predictable. The work that they were working on was ready ahead of time. They did not start work and then wait for more requirements. They felt like their teams were aligned to strategy and to the roadmap. The epics, or the features that were delivered in every 30 days, increased by 267%, just because of some of those changes that they've made. And then the other cool thing that they said is that these teams were able to do the same work of 5 additional teams. So this company did not have to hire additional teams to do the work. That is it for the storytelling. I want to pause here and take questions. So please think about your question, start posting it into the Q&A. I do want to leave you with 3 different action items. If you really are intrigued by all of this and you want to learn more, agilevideos.com is the largest library. So you're welcome to go over there. There's a ton of free videos. If you see that it's called sample video, then that's a free video. And if you like the program, definitely join as a team or as an organization. If you want to talk to an expert and you really are interested to see where are you today in your enterprise business agility journey, and maybe get that assessment or just talk more about your journey, feel free to reach out. And then please give us an evaluation of this seminar. And once you do that, you will actually get this entire deck emailed to you as well. So let's pause here and take questions. Let's see if there's any questions under the Q&A. Hisham has the question, and others, please feel free to ask if you'd like to. Hisham says, this transformation is applied gradually, and how do you think is the time period to apply this journey to become an agile organization? It's a very good question, Hisham. It's a minimum couple of years. So I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want to tell you and fake it. Some companies are on this journey for 5 years, but if you are ready to accelerate the journey, if you're ready to do it faster, if you have the right executive buy-in, and if the executives are helping lead this transformation and all in and committed to it, then you can get there faster. But it's going to require measurement and growth, measurement and growth, measurement and growth, and then upskilling and talent development. Companies that are taking their time and applying Agile to one team here, one team there, that's going to take them forever. It's going to take them forever. to transform. There's just no time for that. I mean, you just saw with COVID. I mean, you had to have teams perform very quickly. So I think from a timing perspective, it will take time, but at least a couple of years to be sure.
Also, it could be, it depends on the size of the enterprise or the organization itself, maybe based on the maturity level that they are.
Yeah, no, that's very good. I mean, definitely, if it's a small or medium-sized organization, you're going to transform a lot faster than if you are an organization that is large, like some of the ones that we have over here. Other questions or feedback or comments about this? I'm curious, was this at the right level for you? Was it too advanced? I mean, I know we went into we talk at the enterprise level this time, but I'm curious for your feedback or questions. I don't see Q&A, I just see chat, by the way. Okay, so we have Hari is asking, how do you convince management? You know, Hari, I think the best way to convince management is to just give them initial education. You don't even want to convince them yet. You want to just basically, remember we said step number 1 is education and awareness. So education and awareness happens through this. It happens through a 1-hour webinar with an expert. It happens through you sharing, remember that 3-minute video, that 4-minute video that I showed you? You just send them that video and just be like, hey, here's a short video. Would you be interested in a webinar around enterprise business agility? I think education and awareness and just getting them to learn and be intrigued. And then you basically say, do you want to do an assessment? Do you want to see where we are today? I mean, does this make sense to you? And then if they say, actually, yeah, I do want to see where we are today. Well, then they're starting to form a transformation team, because the people that they're going to invite to take that baseline assessment, trust me, is going to be the beginning of your actual transformation team. It usually is the PMO, somebody from technology, somebody from business, HR, finance. Those are the right people in your internal change agents. So start with education and awareness. Let's see. Yeah, you're welcome. Do you think that the PMO may help make the transformation faster? Yes, Hisham. As I said before, the PMO can be an impediment or it can be an accelerator for the transformation. If the PMO has the old school hat on of, you know, you have to follow my rules, you have to follow my guidelines, I need you to finish all these checklists, I need you to just more of like a reporting and an audit, then no, they're actually slowing down the trend. But if they're modern, if they're mature, if they're applying lean portfolio management, if they are aligning organization around outcomes, if they are changing their role to be in service of the agile, of the teams, and removing obstacles and using measurement the way that I talked about, not for punishment or reward, but to accelerate maturity, then yes, the PMO is perfectly positioned. And I would say that the powerful group that you can have is the PMO, but also HR, because HR is way behind, Hisham. I will be honest with you. Here in the United States, we have a lot of work to do to bring HR to the table and have them be a strategic partner for the transformation. It might be different in the Gulf. And I'm not saying that some companies have it, but I'm saying HR here is considered more of an operational. And so leading this level of a transformation is like mind-boggling for them. But now they're coming on board, because a lot of what we're talking about is talent development, continuous improvement. So operational excellence and HR and all of them need to come and help as well. Mohamed, do you have any thoughts here?
Yeah, I cannot more with you. It's, PMO is about it's the leadership level. Yeah, so I think the big challenge is to shift from the old mindset of the leadership to the new rule, the new agility mindset that they should have.
Yep. Great. All right. If there are no more questions, we are going to say thank you very much for spending your time. Again, if you'd like these slide decks, just fill out that evaluation. We'll email it to you. Feedback is a gift. Please do provide feedback if this was at the right level for you. And if you think that the other topics that we were planning for are helpful. So the next topic we were thinking about would be going down to team agility. So just focusing on teams. And then we were going to talk about organizational agility, and then we're going to talk about talent development. So let us know and give us your feedback. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, PMI Gulf Chapter, for hosting this as well.
Thank you, Sally and Mohammed, for the excellent presentation. It's come at the right time, and companies are looking to rapidly scale the digital transformation. And I think it's quite useful and value add for all the organizations and managers to take a look as to how to scale and bring outcomes, deliver outcomes for the customers. Thank you so much, and thank you.
Thank you so much for having us, BMI UAE chapter, and thank you for your engagement, for all the attendees, and see you in the next webinar.
Yes. Bye, everyone.
Thank you all the participants for your participation today. So thank you. We look forward to seeing you all in the next webinar. Thank you once again.